AP, on the football side of things, we've got some decision dates set. We've got some things potentially on the horizon here. You've got Travis Smith setting a decision date as well with 4 finalists. The 865 event is coming up the end of the week. I know there'll be questions in the Mailbag podcast about that later this week. But where do you think they are in terms of maybe some highlighted names for the 865 weekend, and where are they with a couple of these guys making decisions here in the next 2 to 3 weeks?
Jalen Matthews is June 3rd. It still feels like Tennessee has the most momentum there. Miami continues to swing pretty hard, and a few other schools. And then after that, as far as just pure date set, Charles House, June 22nd. And as you mentioned yesterday, Chad Simmons with the story that Travis Smith will announce on July 13th. So we've got a little while on Travis Smith. And I would expect that to be the case for most of these kids. They're going to take their 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12 official visits in June, and then likely make a decision sometime between, let's say, the 25th of June and the 25th of July. I think that's kind of going to be that window. Most of them, I think, will be actually the last week of June through the second week of July. But Smith, Tennessee and Georgia to me are the top 2 teams. I think Auburn is running 3 there. He's been to Georgia so many times. Georgia's going to take 4 million receivers in this class. So it'll be interesting to kind of see where this thing goes. It definitely feels like to me Georgia kind of would be the team to beat. I do think Tennessee's still definitely in it, and they definitely could swing it here, with some visits and such coming up over the next couple of weeks. But, I think right now, if you're, saying, where do I think he's leaning? I would lean Georgia, but I don't think it's a lock. I think that the door's still open there with Travis Smith. Georgia, all their media, they're pushing the kid from Milton. How does that play on a kid from Westlake? I think it'd be interesting to kind of see, what he does. But right now I would say lean Georgia, but by not too much.
For both of you guys, are you surprised? I mean, you could take unlimited official visits now. Are you surprised more guys aren't using official visits? A lot of people when that came out are, oh, that's a disaster. A guy can take 8 or 10 official visits. What's going to happen? It doesn't feel like anybody's taking 5 official visits these days, hardly. To me, am I wrong in that?
I still think people want to get through. They want to do all of June and then come to a decision, because most schools are not one to wait. And unless you're a high-end guy, Grant, you don't really have the carte blanche to, say, hey, I'm going to take some more visits in the fall and drag this thing out to October. Very few kids can do that. And so, especially if you like a school in particular, it's easier to take your visits in June and get your spot locked in.
Maybe I'm just I don't want to leave the house that much. Like, that would be taxing to take unlimited. Like, it felt like 5 was that's enough visits. That's enough official visits. It felt like it didn't need to be unlimited. Like, you could battle for those official visits, and maybe that was some drama there. But I mean, how many are you really going to take through the summer once you get to the point where you've seen it kind of a different version of the same official visit on every different campus you've been to? Like, at some point, that number's too many.
I don't know why they don't hubs do like basketball does and do X amount as a junior, X amount as a senior. And I just think that's the best of both worlds. I think that gives everybody a chance to, kind of get a feel for it a year ahead of time. Am I crazy in thinking that basketball's got to figure it out while football continues to kind of, I don't know, like, it just make it more hectic than it has to be?
Yeah, the interesting thing, Grant, to me with basketball, the windows in basketball seem smaller to take visits. But because you have your high school season, okay, most of the time you're playing on a Friday night, right? So it's hard to take a weekend official visit in season, And then you can't take a bunch of summer visits because you've got AAU and everything you're doing in the summertime going on. It feels like the window for the basketball visits is smaller, whereas the football window is only reduced because of the pressure on kids to make a decision, which goes to Austin's point. Why not do it where you can take, 2 as a junior or 3 as a junior and, 4 as a senior, 5 as a senior if you want to.
And you're a very different player and a person as a junior to a senior in high school. Like, that's a big difference. Maybe what you see as a junior on a visit kind of opens your eyes, or kind of readjust maybe what you're looking for in that recruitment process, and maybe it readjusts and reevaluates stuff going into your senior year and those senior visits. And I do think that would be a something that would help football. And I think sometimes the smaller windows help kids because I don't know, unlimited time to think about it can certainly hurt you if you're, paralysis by analysis or whatever there. I do think for the junior senior split would help a lot because you get to see more at different, the windows are smaller, but you are kind of stretching out that visit time, that evaluation period where you can kind of compare and contrast what you're looking for, what you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think in some ways, AP, the portal, because the portal windows are smaller, guys are having to make quicker decisions, make decisions. You don't get some of that, paralysis, if you will, because you got to go, right? I mean, listen, Chaz Lanier's people can want it to drag out as long as they want to, but he's going to have to make a decision at some point and join a basketball team somewhere if he's going to play college basketball. And I think what you're saying in football, a lot of high school coaches are telling kids, hey, I don't want to deal with this all fall long. And a lot of college coaches are going, hey, if you don't jump in now, I don't guarantee you anything in December, right?
Yeah, look at Clemson. Dabo has dug his heels in.
They signed 25 transfers a year, AP.
Yeah, they do. He's dug his heels in. You know who Dabo is? He is all of our grandmas. Old, set in their ways. They're not changing. He's not changing.
Yeah.
That's who he's going to be. And so he's not going to play in the portal a whole lot. He's going to continue to try to, pressure these kids in. When you visit the first weekend of June, if you don't commit, we're moving on without you. You better get in. You better get while it's hot. Better get it. And more and more kids are wising up to that. Some kids are absolutely. If you like Clemson and you're close, go for it, right? That's where you want to go.
It's not a bad place.
Heck no. But but if a kid's not ready, like Mike Matthews last year, once he didn't commit to him, they were pretty much done with Mike. Now they moved on to the kid from Texas and stuff because again, that's the route they go. They want everybody in that first week because they want to go to the lake over there in Clemson, the back part of June. They don't want to have to do any kind of weekends. Whereas Tennessee is backloaded. Those last 2 weekends are just massive weekends. Where a year ago they're even bigger this year. And so, it just kind of be interesting to kind of see how some of this stuff shakes out, as we move forward with, different templates, so to speak, by coaches, programs, and then kids.
Yeah, and it's the ever-evolving calendar. What it is one year may not be what it is the next year, right?
Yep.
I don't know that many junior basketball players are taking official visits at this point in time, Grant. It doesn't feel like they are because it's all about the
basketball. Yeah, that's what I was going to say with the basketball. Like Rob mentioned it last week. This past weekend was a live evaluation period, EYBL and all that stuff, and usually in a different era, that's huge news. Where's your coaches at? Where are your assistants at? Who are they watching? Who are they? They're at every game for this kid, whatever. It feels like that's so far on the back burner because of the portal and because of this time of year. And you've reworked your roster already for the most part because of that early rush in late March and April to get to this point. So it feels like with basketball, you could rework the calendar, you could do this, that, whatever. You could make a ton of changes. And it doesn't really matter because the portal is such an emphasis. And you're changing, with such a smaller scholarship roster, you change the roster so much with those portal moves, just because they're so limited players, and that helps you. You can look drastically different and take one high school kid from year to year because of the portal.
Yeah, and that's why you got to decide: do you want to invest in recruiting a high school kid from the time he's in the 8th grade until he's a senior, or do you want to just say, hey, I'll get the best couple of guys out of the portal who have already proven against some Power 5 competition, revamp my roster, and go that way. Interesting times in basketball, certainly. Interesting times in football. There's a bit of a recruiting update, as Austin mentioned, backloaded in June. The end of June for Tennessee set to be pretty wild in terms of number of visits, right, AP? 24 plus is not out of the realm at all the last couple of weekends, right?
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see, Tennessee set up to have these massive weekends at the end. How many kids that they're recruiting decide to make a decision before they take their visit? You actually could lose a few kids. But if you're a fan and you're sitting there and you're watching all these busy visit weekends there early, you're like, man, this it's going to be interesting. It's like the horse that kind of rides at the back the first part of the race and then all of a sudden tries to hit go. you better hope that there's a lot of clean air up there, right? Like you don't want if it's a bad track and it's muddy, it could get a little bit more problematic, near the end of June as far as recruiting. So it'd be interested to kind of see how this goes. And I would advise all fans to understand, like Tennessee's going to have to make their hay the weekend of the 14th and the 21st, not the first 2 weekends. They'll have some kids, about 7 or so, 6, 7 kids here that first weekend of the 7th, but I mean, of June. But like, it's going to be slow out of the gates here as things start to open back up. It'll be more focused on the camps, and then the OVs will be really pushed towards the back of the month.
Yep, and we'll keep it all tracked for you as you see on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, you see a bunch of names already there. We'll continue to log all those names and have that ready for you. It's going to change dramatically throughout the month of June. We will cover all that for you here at Volquest.com.